Hi, in this video we're going to talk about subjects and how to find subjects in sentences. There are two essential parts of a sentence. Subjects, which name a person, place, thing, or idea that the sentence is about, and also must be a noun or pronoun, and verbs. Verbs tell the reader something about the subject, they tell what the subject does, and tell the condition of the subject. So subjects are one of the main parts of a sentence. We can't have a sentence without a subject. So how do we find subjects in sentences? Well, the first step is to identify and ignore any prepositional phrases. A subject will never be found in a prepositional phrase, so we can simply identify and then ignore prepositional phrases. For example, if we have this sentence, "The bee is stinging me on my arm," on my arm is a prepositional phrase, so we can just ignore it. Next, we're going to find the whole verb. So what is the action that's happening in this sentence? Is stinging is our whole verb. Remember that verbs that end in ing also must have a form of to be if they are part of the verb, and in this case is forms part of the whole verb with stinging. So is stinging is the whole verb. Then our next step is to ask who or what and then say the verb. So if we ask who is stinging, well, the bee is the one doing the stinging. So bee is our subject. Here's another example. We cried after the accident. After the accident is a prepositional phrase, so we can just ignore it. Our action that's taking place is cried, and if we ask who cried, we cried. So we is the subject of the sentence. Here are some more details about finding subjects. One we've talked about already is that a subject is never in a prepositional phrase. So in this example, let me go back there. The bumper of the car had been damaged. Of the car is a prepositional phrase, so we know the subject will not be inside that prepositional phrase. Had been damaged is our whole verb, and if we ask, well, what had been damaged? The bumper. So the bumper is the subject. Also, a subject can be an indefinite pronoun. So here's an example. Everyone at the game wore team colors. At the game is a prepositional phrase, so we can ignore it. Wore is our action verb. And then if we ask who wore, our answer is everyone. Everyone is the subject. It's important to note that, let me go back there, that a possessive pronoun is never the subject. So if we look at this example here, our team won the game. Team is the subject. Our is a possessive pronoun just telling us whose team it is, so our is not part of the subject. In addition, a possessive noun is never the subject. If we look at this example, Martina's dog is adorable. Martina's is just telling us whose dog it is. So our verb is, and who is adorable? Dog is adorable. Martina's is just describing the dog. Subjects may be in unusual places, so sometimes we need to be careful when identifying subjects of a sentence. Here are some guidelines. If we look at this first guideline here and there are never subjects. Here is the book for you. For you is a prepositional phrase, so we can just ignore it. Is the verb, and we ask what is here? The book. Okay, the book is the subject, so we just need to remember that here and there are never subjects. It's important to memorize that. Next, subjects and verbs may be inverted. Our usual sentence order is that we have subject first and then verb, but that's not always the case. So here's an example. From the rubble emerged a weary young boy. From the rubble is a prepositional phrase, so we can just ignore it. Emerged is our verb, it's our action, and if we ask then who emerged? Boy. boy emerged. So boy is our subject. The next guideline is that in commands, the subject is always the understood you. So that is the only time that we have a subject in English that is not stated or not written. So say, for example, we have this sentence, please wash the dishes. Wash is the verb. And who is going to wash the dishes? You. So our subject is the understood you. It's understood because it's a command that the subject is you. Lastly, in questions, the subject often falls between parts of the verb. So here's an example. When do you plant tomatoes in the spring? In the spring is a prepositional phrase, so we can simply ignore it. Our verb parts are do, plant, and who does plant? You do plant. So you is our subject, and notice that it falls right in between, in this case, the helping verb and the main verb. It's possible to have more than one subject or more than one verb, even in a simple sentence. So here are some examples. Compound subjects are when we have more than one subject. If we look at this example, Evelyn and Dora play together at recess. At recess is a prepositional phrase, so we can just ignore it. Our action is play, and if we ask who plays, we have Evelyn and Dora. So those are the subjects of the sentence. We may have more than one verb in a sentence. Here's an example. Evelyn swims and plays soccer. The actions are swims and plays. And if we ask who swims and plays, our subject is Evelyn. Our last example is a sentence with compound subjects and verbs, when we have more than one subject and more than one verb, yet still in a simple sentence. So if we look at this example, Evelyn and Dora play and sing together at recess. Again, at recess is a prepositional phrase, so we can simply ignore it. Our actions are play and sing, and if we ask who plays and sings, Evelyn and Dora, so those are the subjects. So here's a summary. Subjects and verbs are essential parts of sentences. We can't have a sentence without subject and verb. Subjects must be nouns or pronouns. Here are our steps for finding subjects. First, we're going to identify and then just ignore prepositional phrases. Then we will find the whole verb. And last, we'll ask who or what with the verb. So here's an example. Tanya's cat scratched me on my face. So on my face is our prepositional phrase. We can just ignore it. Our action is scratched. And then we ask, who scratched me or what scratched me? And the answer is cat. So cat is our subject of the sentence.